Elon wasn't happy, so he did what he always did and stomped his little feet and insulted Senator Warren, calling her an angry mom and referring to her as Senator Karen. So for so many reasons, being a freeloader and a selfish and disrespectful one, and for misappropriating Black vernacular for misogynistic purposes, Elon Musk is the absolute worst. Meanwhile, Senator Warren has better things to do than fight with Junior Birdman on Twitter.
All right, guys. So I know that we've been talking about the race hustlers of America a lot this week, okay? And we're going to continue on with that trend because it seems that they're getting more and more and more out of control, especially the closer that we get to the election. But it seems in this situation, we have one of the number one race hustlers in mainstream liberal media, if not the number one race hustler in mainstream liberal media, Miss Joy Reid, who is trying to sell a book. I'm not going to tell you the title of the book because it's irrelevant, right? I'm pretty sure none of you guys are going to buy the book, okay? But Miss Joy Reid, in a desperate attempt to market her book, is going on a ton of platforms like this platform, Salon, to boohoo, whine, and cry racism. Oh, woe is me. America's so systemically racist. They hate Black people. This is why I deserve reparations. I helped build this country. I built this country. Right. This is what she's saying. Okay. Which is hilarious because maybe, just maybe, that explains why she really wants to be a white lady so much. Right. And I'm saying that because of this wig that she has on, this blonde wig that she is wearing. That, in my opinion, I think is cultural appropriation. Okay. I think the irony here is that she accused Elon Musk of culturally appropriating Black vernacular because he used the term Karen to describe Elizabeth Warren, but yet she's rocking a blonde wig. Okay, I'm not sure exactly where you naturally see Black women having blonde hair like this. I don't think this is natural. I think that she definitely took this from white culture, right? I'm pretty sure she is culturally appropriating white people, but I guess in modern day America, Black folks have special rights and privileges to culturally appropriate whites, but whites can't culturally appropriate Blacks, okay, unless they risk getting beat up in the streets, which is actually what happened to a woman in Boston, a white woman in Boston that was wearing braids, and you had a bunch of young scholars, young astronauts decide to commit acts of violence against her because she was allegedly culturally appropriating Black people, right? So that's what happens when whites culturally appropriate Blacks, but you have Joy Reid here wearing a blonde wig. Again, it's amazing how that works. This is just a prime example of the special rights and privileges that Black people get in 2024 that other people don't get, but yet you have people like Joy Reid still boohoo, whining, crying racism about how bad it is to be Black in this country, right? It's really fascinating stuff. I find it especially fascinating how these people that claim they're so pro-Blackity Black and how they love being Black so much, they seem to not love their Black features, right? I mean, if you love your Blackness so much, you're so proud to be Black, why aren't you proud of your natural Black hair? I don't understand the point of this when, again, you're supposed to be so proud of your Blackness. Again, it's pretty fascinating stuff. The psychology of these individuals should be studied. But what I do know is that Joy Reid, in her book, probably will not sell very well. Okay, this interview only got 685 views in 4 days. I know this video being released basically at midnight will probably get that many views in 5 minutes. So Joy Reid should actually thank me for making this video, right? Maybe I should stop giving these race hustlers so much of a spotlight on my platform, but they say such outlandish things that, right, they must be called out and they must be addressed, okay? Because their ideology is very pervasive in society, even though their actual fans, their audience, don't really give a damn about them, right? So without further ado, let's get into Joy Reid boohoo, whine, and cry to try to sell a book.
It's interesting when you read through, like you had to do so much research for this book. I know you know the history before, but what is it like to see it in such, you put it all together and see the way that Black people through time have been treated? And there was a quote by James Baldwin, who was a friend of Medgar's, a famous quote from 1961 where he said, "To be a Negro in this country and to be relatively conscious is to be in a state of rage almost all of the time."
Yeah.
And has it changed that much? I mean, if you're aware and you see injustice and you wonder how does it continue, and it either directed against the Black community or the double standard where white people in power, like Donald Trump, are treated vastly different
Yeah.
than everyone else.
I mean, to be
People like Donald Trump are treated vastly different than everybody else, right? Yeah, I mean, I think he's right, but probably not for the reasons that he thinks. He's trying to imply that Trump has some type of white privilege, even though if Trump has white privilege, it's really hard to tell. It's actually hard to tell even if he has rich privilege or wealth privilege, because they're trying to bankrupt the man. They're trying to throw him in jail for alleged crimes that they would never, ever charge a Democrat with. They're trying to destroy the man on all fronts, okay? It is law warfare against Trump from his political opponents, but yet this guy is trying to argue that Trump is being treated differently than everybody else in the sense that he's getting better treatment because of his white skin color. That's what he's essentially implying here, right? But again, this is a part of how ridiculous the mainstream liberal media is. They're completely out of touch with reality.
a Black person in 2024 in America is to be in a state of complete perplexed confusion about.
Yeah, I mean, you are confused, right? Again, this blonde wig that you're rocking definitely signals that you are a confused individual, right? I'm not sure exactly who told you that this was a good idea or that you weren't a hypocrite for wearing this wig, considering how, again, this is the same person that complains about cultural appropriation. But yeah, I think that there are some people that are very confused in this country. And Joy Reid, you're definitely one of them. This wig is evidence and proof.
What is wrong with a country that hates your history, to this day can't admit even the basics of what was done to your ancestors?
Again, this type of stuff, man, it's just so funny how they just allow people to make these type of claims and they never push back and say, well, what are you talking about? Can you elaborate on that? What do you mean that they don't allow you to admit the basics of what happened to your ancestors? What does that actually mean? Because slavery is quite literally taught in every school in America. And that's what she's saying. What she's really saying is that, well, they don't allow schools to teach kids about slavery. That's just factually not true, right? There's not one school in America that's not teaching kids about slavery at the appropriate grade level for them to learn slavery, which I think is middle school for the most part. Okay. Yeah, every kid is learning about slavery. But see, what she actually really means is that if you don't allow kids to learn about CRT, if you don't teach them CRT, if you don't indoctrinate them in racial ideology, white hatred, if you don't teach them fake history, which is the 1619 Project, then that means you're denying the basic history of Black people. That's what she actually really means. Again, it's so funny how the left loves to reframe these issues. When you don't allow them to radicalize children, they want to say you're a bigot, right? That you want to deny teaching the basics of Black history, okay, or what Black people have been through in this country, when that's just simply not true. No, we just don't want to teach false history, okay? The American Revolution was not fought to preserve slavery, right? That's just factually not true, okay? And it's not something that we should be teaching in schools, but apparently that's what Joy Reid thinks, right? This is what she wants. And also apparently she wants kids to learn about sex in school, right? And if you don't want kids to learn about sex in school, then you are a homophobic bigot, okay? This is how Joy Reid thinks about these issues. Apparently, you are oppressing Black people, you're oppressing gay people, so-called minorities, if you don't want them to learn about racial hatred and sex in school. Amazing.
Can't accept any responsibility for the lack that has carried through the entirety of the existence of you in this country, and think 60 years of relative freedom is enough. Now, Blacks, please get out of Harvard. Now,
relative freedom. Again, what freedoms don't you have, Joy? Right? Again, I'm trying to figure out what freedoms does a woman with blonde hair, a Black woman with blonde hair that makes millions of dollars going on television to talk about politics, what freedoms don't you have, right? I'm trying to figure that out, okay? I'm trying to figure that out. She also claims that Blacks aren't allowed in Harvard, okay? So just because you are not lowering standards for Black people, apparently that means that Black people are going to be unable to go to Harvard. Again, amazing. So basically what she's saying is that Black people are so inadequate that they can't compete with everybody else unless they have a booster seat. I just don't get it, man. I really don't understand. I really don't think these people understand exactly what they're saying here. I really don't.
Blacks, you can't get any more loans. You can't even give each other loans of $20,000 unless you give white men who get 99% of funding for their businesses. We want 100. And to find out that literally Barack Obama's 2 terms as president are your reparations, and Juneteenth, which you already celebrated anyway, is your reparations, and yet you built this country. You literally physically built this country.
Joy, I don't think you built this country. Right? I don't think you built any part of this country, okay? And it's just so funny how these same people that claim that they want to unify this country say the most divisive things. Well, we built this country. We built the country, right? And it's like, well, I personally think that everybody's ancestors had a hand in building the country, okay? Whether you're talking about the white man that, originally came to the country and founded the country, the Native Americans who are already here, the Asians, the Chinese on the West Coast, okay? They helped build the West Coast. Obviously, you have black people with slavery. I would make an argument that almost everybody's ancestors helped build a country, right? But they want to keep using this divisive rhetoric and language to try to say, well, we built the country as if they only built it, okay? And you owe me reparations, okay? Even though Joy Reid was never a slave, she has millions of dollars. She lives in the best country on earth for black people. There is no better country on earth for black people. But yet she feels like she's owed something. She needs something, right? And it's just funny how these people have this victimhood mentality even when you're living a life of luxury. I mean, Joy Reid is living better than 99% of white people in this country. But yet she's pretending like she is some type of victim. I mean, it's fascinating stuff. I really don't understand how these people have this mentality. I really don't. I don't get it.
And yet the attitude toward you from a lot of your peers and your fellow citizens is just shut up.
Yeah, because you should, right? You should. I mean, look at you. You're a black lady wearing a blonde wig, making $1 million on TV. I think that it is justified to say, yeah, cállate, right? Shut up. We don't really want to hear you boo-hoo, whine, and cry when clearly and obviously you're doing very well. You're doing well, better than 99% of black people in this country, 99% of white people in this country, 99% of black people on the planet, 99% of white people on the planet. You're doing better than them. You're having a much better life. So, yeah, I think it is justifiable to tell you to shut up. If you look at the average black person in America, they're doing better than a vast majority of black people on the planet. But yet, if you listen to these people talk and boo-hoo, whine, and cry, you would think that these people are doing terrible in America, right? Compared to everybody else in the world, compared to all the other black folks in the world. Which is hilarious because factually it's not true, because if it actually was true, if these people were doing so bad, they wouldn't be here, right? They'd be gone. But they don't want to leave. They want to stay into perpetuity, even though they claim that they're being oppressed and everything is so terrible over here for black folks. But they won't go to a place on earth where they're all black people, where there no longer will be a minority. Again, it's almost as if they know that there is no better place on earth for black people except here in America. It's funny how that works. Their actions don't match their words at all.
And be grateful. And it's infuriating, and that is why James Baldwin is my favorite writer. He is the greatest writer in American history. But he's speaking a truth that still exists, and he's been long gone, but it's still true.
I don't think so, man. You want it to be true, because again, these people are living in the 1950s, 1960s. And they won't fast forward into the future because, again, that's not profitable, right? It's not profitable to do that, okay? Joy Reid can't boo-hoo, whine, and cry racism and avoid accountability if she actually moves her mind into the future, into the present, and understands that you're not oppressed. You have the same opportunities as everybody else, which she objectively does. I mean, look at her. Look at what she's doing right now. Her life is proof of that, but, hey, these people, man, the agenda, right? They just can't give it up. They can't give up the race hustle, okay? It is to accumulate more power and control. They don't want equal rights. They want special rights. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.